Hey folks, how's everybody doing? My name's Josh Keck. I'm going to be your instructor for this class. This is going to be for MG 102, Introduction to Entrepreneurship. All right, so most of you taking this class are going to be aviation students, but there may be some of you who are not aviation students. Maybe you're some of my business students. If so, cool. I wanted to take a quick video to go through some of the syllabus, some of Blackboard, give you a little bit of a head start into the class. You know how things are structured, how things are done. So let's just jump over into it. Okay, so first things first, I should probably everything you need is going to be in Blackboard. If you're not familiar with what Blackboard is or where to get to it, it's easy. If you're on the Mount West webpage, up here at the top here is a link to Blackboard. So getting to Blackboard's easy enough. You log in. You also have a link here to your email, link to your IT services. If you need help with the help desk, they can help you out. But click on Blackboard. It's going to take you to this system here. And I think it's going to show you your courses. There's some other things in the menu here that you guys can check out. But once you're in courses, I'm going to go down to MG 102. Okay. Now, everything's in Blackboard for this class. It's an online class, which means we're heavily reliant on Blackboard. Once you jump into the course, it's going to first take you to the announcements page. That's the landing page. You're going to get a cool sci-fi scenery view because as entrepreneurs, we want to think about the future and what could be and what's the promise of humanity and the potential within all of us. So try to give you some inspiration there. But this is the announcements page, and every time you come to this class, you're going to get hit with an announcement. Now, I don't have them all programmed in yet, but I will. You should have gotten this announcement Monday morning. So I made this available at 8 o'clock, and I also emailed it to you. If you don't get the email, if you didn't get the email, you need to figure that out because you should have gotten the email. It should have went to your Mount West email address, okay? Get with the help desk. Or if you were registered for this class after Monday morning, maybe you didn't get it for that reason. But the way this will work, every Monday morning, 8 a.m., there will be an announcement that will tell you what you need to do for the week. And sometimes you'll get announcements for other things outside of just that purpose. For whatever reason, I need to tell you something, So that's the first thing you're going to see. Now, these announcements, they do not automatically email to you. I have to go in after they're available. So after Monday, 8 a.m., I have to go in and edit these. And then I have to click a little button that says send a copy via email. And then you'll get the email. But if I don't do that, they'll be available here in Blackboard, but you will not get the email unless I check that box. Meaning, I don't recommend relying on your email only to get announcements from me. I recommend instead you take your smartphone and download the Blackboard app. And Blackboard will have a little notification it'll send you every time a new announcement's available. So that's really helpful. Okay. Otherwise, what's in Blackboard here? We've got the Start Here menu over on the left-hand menu. We got Start Here. You can look at this once. It's the same for every single class. Nothing here for us. Okay. Course information. This is when you get into my stuff for MG 102. So there's a little introduction video, a little overview, the course structure. We're going to be using modules. If you're not familiar with modules, it's just basically every week you're going to do a different module. And within that module, you're going to do a chapter from your textbook, along with some homework assignments, some chapter quiz, whatever else I have you do, some discussion boards, right? If I have videos or websites or things that I think are relevant to that chapter, they're going to be in that module. So you'll see what that looks like in a second. But basically in a 16-week class like this one, you're going to do a module per week. You will never do 2 modules per week in a 16-week class. In an 8-week class, like over the summer, that's a case where you would do 2 modules per week. So that's how we have it structured. Course learning outcomes. There's 10 learning outcomes that all focused on what I think you should be able to do by the time you graduate from this class. I want you to understand the fundamentals of entrepreneurship, understanding how to recognize opportunities, solving problems, how to create value, and that turns into a viable business. I want you to know the regional challenges and opportunities in our area, West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky. I'm going to focus a lot on West Virginia when you hear from me, when I can. We'll focus on the economy, the social, the technology aspects of that. We got a lot of problems in our region, a lot of things that we're up against. West Virginia is one of the lowest states for entrepreneurship, lowest in terms of micro businesses, which are businesses that are owned by a single person with less than like 5 employees. We have very few micro businesses. We have very few entrepreneurs. And that's got to change. We got to do something about that. So I'm so excited that this class exists so we can hopefully get some more people building some businesses. Be great to see. Third learning outcome here is developing effective communication skills. You've got to be able to come up with an idea, opportunity, recognize an opportunity. What problem are you solving? What value are creating? And then you got to be able to tell people about it. They need to know what that idea is so they can buy in either as a customer or as an investor, or as your employees who you want to work hard for your business. Whatever it is, you got to set yourself apart and communicate that value. All right, so that's a big thing. And that goes into the fourth learning outcome is how to market your business, how to tell people you exist, how to get new customers, how to target your customers, understanding the legal implications, the tax implications of the different structures. Are you going alone? Are you going to be a sole proprietor? Are you going to set up as an LLC so you have some limited liability? Maybe a professional LLC, a PLLC if you're maybe a CPA or a lawyer. Maybe you need to be a corporation, C Corp, S Corp, what kind? There's different types, and it's different depending on what state you're in or what state you incorporate within. So a lot of implications there. Next is identifying different sources of financing. All right, so if this business idea you got, it's going to require some startup costs. Maybe you need a machine. Maybe you need a building. Maybe you need some real estate. Maybe you need some inventory. Well, that costs money. That costs money. Where are you going to get it? Maybe you got some burning a hole in your wallet, or maybe you need to go to friends and family, or maybe you can't get enough from that. Maybe you need to go to a bank. Maybe you need to get a small business loan. Maybe you can convince somebody who's got a lot of money to help you, like an angel investor, or maybe you can get one of these venture capital firms to invest in your idea and to cultivate that with you. And there's even things like crowdfunding now. There's all kinds of different ways. Kickstarter is a great example. So different sources of financing, and what of those financing opportunities do you have to pay back as a loan with interest? And what is you're giving ownership of your business in exchange for that finance, in exchange for that money? There's different pieces to it. So, and I will say another source of financing is just rolling your net income. If you make profit, rolling those profits back into the business and reinvesting back into your business. That's a source of financing once you get up and running. Okay. 7, learning outcome 7, identify the financial principles. How do you know if you're making any money? How do you know what your sales are going to be next month? How can you do some projections? You need to be able to do some basic math. Understanding operations management, resource planning, inventory is a big one. If you're going to have any kind of inventory, if you're not just providing a service, if you're selling a physical product, are you buying it made from somebody else? Are you making it yourself? What raw materials do you need? What components do you need? Where are they coming from? What's your supply chain? Who are your suppliers? How many do you have? How easy is it to replace a supplier if one doesn't live up to its quality reputation? All that stuff's got to be considered. 9, developing networking skills so you can get the best people on your staff. You can get the best customers. You can get your name out there. You got to be able to network. And lastly, we need to consider ethical considerations. What is your social responsibility? What's your corporate social responsibility? What laws and regulations do you have to follow? And then what social norms do you have to follow? It's not just laws and regulations that people care about. People want to know that your business is ethical and they're not causing a lot of problems or negative externalities for people unassociated with it. All right. So we want to focus on all of this. It's a lot. This is a big class in terms of the type of content that you're going to be exposed to. But it's an introductory class, so it's not like we're going to go depth in real super detail on any of these things, but we're going to touch on them all, okay? One thing we won't do in this class, we won't make a business plan. And I get some feedback on that from people who don't understand what we do here necessarily. They say that, why aren't your students making a business plan? The reason for that is pretty simple. This is a class that anybody can take. Aviation students, you can take this. My business students can take this. Someone from the street can take this class, okay? Before you're ready to make a business plan, you really need to know some other stuff that we're not going to cover in this class in enough depth to do that. And those classes are accounting, introduction to accounting, or marketing, fundamentals of marketing. Those are two different classes that I teach, AC 103, MK 130. If you've had this class and AC 103 and MK 130, then I have full confidence that you can write a really good business plan, because you know how the finances are going to operate, you know how to project your financials, you know how to create a pro forma income statement, and you know how to sell that business idea. You know how your market's going to look. That's so important when you're just starting out. You can have the best idea, you've identified a need, you've recognized a problem, you know how to solve it, you've written it down, but if you can't show me how you're going to make any money with that target customer base and the pro forma financials, I'm not interested. I need to know that you're going to make some money before I care about whatever business idea you bring to me. So that's the importance of the business plan. We're not going to get all that far in this class. We're going to focus mostly on that entrepreneurial piece of identifying that problem. We're going to talk marketing. We're going to talk accounting, but not to the depth that an entire class on those topics will go through. Okay. So just keep that in mind. That's not going to be a requirement for this class. There's a little video about me if you haven't already looked at that. My contact information is here. My office hours, they may change because I might do Wednesdays from home. So those may become virtual office hours. I'll let you know. There is an online textbook for this class. It's on OpenStax. It's great. I think if I click on that link, it'll go to it. So free textbooks, free online. It's called OER textbook. You can look at that. It's pretty nice. There's all these different chapters. You're going to cover every single chapter, every single one. All right. Otherwise, under course information, there's also the syllabus. We're going to go over the syllabus here in just a second, and then the discussion board to introduce yourself. That's the first thing I need you to do is just introduce yourself. Tell the class about you. Okay. I'll come back to some of the other pieces of Blackboard here. Let's jump into the syllabus briefly. So this is your syllabus from the course information page. So this is MG 102. It's online. It's an online class. Some description about the class. The textbook, here's a link to it. It's free, online, OER. Love it. We already went through the learning outcomes. The course modality is online asynchronous. What does that mean? It means this is not a go at your own pace class. Okay, we don't do classes like that at Mount West, or we're not supposed to. All right, there's a deadline every single week. You are going to need to do something for me every single week. And those will be due Sundays at midnight, 11:59 p.m. And that doesn't mean you can't do them after the due date. But for our purposes here in higher ed, especially if you're on financial aid, I need to take attendance every week. And if I don't have your ass in a seat in front of me, if I don't have your ass on Zoom, if all you're doing is taking the online class, then the only opportunity I have to count you as present for the week, as having done something for me, is if you actually do a chapter quiz or do the homework I ask you to do on time. Okay. You can do things after the due dates, though. We'll talk about that here in a second. But just be aware, especially if you're on financial aid, this is not go at your own pace. You can't just put everything off until the last day if you want to be counted present for attendance for financial aid. Okay, so there's some stuff about general education learning outcomes. You guys can look over that. Basically, all that means is for every student at Mount West, when they get the 1-year certificate or a 2-year associate's degree, every student, no matter what their program is, should be able to talk with each other, think about things critically, understand there's other people in the world and don't be an asshole, and do math. Okay? Read, write, do math, don't be an asshole. That's what this is saying. And we will check all of these boxes because when you're teaching entrepreneurship or thinking about entrepreneurship, well, you have to be able to communicate your business idea. All of that requires critical thinking because if you got an awful business idea, then nobody's going to take you seriously. You need to understand different cultures, how different people are how their life is operated, their history, their values, all this stuff, because you have to know who your target customer is. You have to understand and have empathy with your customer base. You can only have empathy with your customer base to know what their problems are that you want to solve if you understand where they come from, what their background is, what their beliefs are, things of that nature. All right. And then lastly, numerical literacy is important because you need to be able to make money. That's why we go into business, to make money. Okay. So there is a thing called a Gen Ed portfolio. I don't think anything in this class is going to be needed for that. So I'm going to skip over this. Your English professor will tell you more about that. Assessment of learning outcomes. So assessment is what you are going to do for me. And that's how I know that you're learning something. So I'm going to give you to do chapter quizzes and exams and some discussion boards. And this is kind of a question mark right now. The elevator pitch, that's a bit of a question mark. We'll come back to that. But there's going to be 15 chapter quizzes. They're 10 points each, 1% of your grade for each quiz. The way I do quizzes is that you have unlimited attempts. You can take them as many times as you want to. Only your highest score will count. They're all multiple choice. Every time you attempt a quiz, you will get different questions that are randomly pulled from a larger test bank of like 100 questions, okay? So I might show you 10 questions, but I might be pulling from like 50 or 60 questions in a question pool. That way you're getting different ones every single time, okay? The more times you take these quizzes, the more exposure you're going to get to those questions, that content, those material. And that's important because when I have you do these 3 exams, those exams are a combination of multiple choice questions and short answer questions. The multiple choice questions are coming from the same place as your chapter quizzes. So the more times you do the quizzes, the more likely you are to see those same questions on the exams. It's a great way to study for the exams, okay? No surprises when you get that exam in front of you. All right, and the exams, I think I have them structured where you can take them 2 times. So if you bomb the first one, your internet goes out, whatever, you have a second attempt. Okay. The elevator pitch is something I've done for a couple of the times I've taught this class. Because it's an online class, I was using an app called Flip, owned by Microsoft, but Microsoft has since taken that website down and moved it to Teams, and I don't have a good substitute for that right now. I'm still assigning this to you for right now, and I hope I'm like 75% confident that we are going to make this work. But what I may have to do is schedule Zoom meetings for the class for us to be able to do this elevator pitch together. So I will probably later in the semester send out some polls to figure out what times are best for everybody. And then we'll do maybe 2 or 3 different Zoom sessions. And whatever Zoom session is most available for you, we'll touch on that. We'll do those pitches at that Zoom session. Those are presentations. They're not high powered. You don't need to like memorize anything. But I want you to give a short little presentation. I'm going to have you come up with a business idea and just present that idea. And I'd like to have a little back and forth. I can ask you questions about it. In the past, I have actually gone down for the aviation students. I've gone down to the airport. And I would actually like to do that again. So we may do that. If you're not an aviation student, then you'd be welcome to come to the airport. But I will also probably use that Zoom option. So even if it's just you and me and we're by ourselves on Zoom, that's fine. Okay. So that's a piece of the equation. And then attendance and your participation in discussion boards is 100 points. Okay. So total 1,000 points in the class. I like that. It's easy. We talked about due dates. Like I said, you can do things after they're due. Just be aware it will affect your attendance. Okay. There's not really a makeup policy since you have unlimited quiz attempts, 2 attempts on the tests. There's not really a need for a makeup policy. So we talked about that. This is the schedule for the course. So for week 1, you're going to do module 1, chapter 1. You're going to introduce yourself, and you're going to take the Chapter 1 quiz before Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Okay? You can do it after that, but again, for attendance, I need something from you. Okay? And then that's how we're going to roll throughout the semester. There's going to be one break for Thanksgiving, but otherwise, every week you're going to work on a module. Exams will be kind of scattered in as needed. There'll be 3 or 4 of those, I think 3 exams. So those will be there. And there's the due dates, everything Sunday midnight. Okay, every week, something due. There's my schedule, my classes. Like I said, Wednesdays I might change because I'm not actually teaching this MG 101 anymore. Someone else took that from me, thankfully. So this may be virtual, but otherwise 9:30 to 11:30, I'll be in my office. The rest of this syllabus, there is a policy on artificial intelligence. Basically, we added that this semester. My policy for this class with artificial intelligence is that you can use tools like ChatGPT only when I tell you you can use them, okay? I will be very explicit in my assignments or my discussion prompts. If I want you to use ChatGPT, I will tell you. Otherwise, don't use it. It will be academic dishonesty. I do not want to go down that road. If I ask you short answer questions on exams, don't use ChatGPT. That's not what I want. I don't want the ChatGPT answer. I want your answer. You don't have to go in the textbook and type it all out. Just give me your thoughts. If I want you to use it for a discussion board, I will tell you. Otherwise, don't use it for a discussion board. One sec. My wife just came home with Simon, so he's going to finish this video with me, right? So don't use artificial intelligence, ChatGPT on discussion boards. It's stupid. All right, it just is. If you're using it and other people in the class are using it, then all of a sudden it's not humans talking to each other. Now it's robots talking to each other. And I don't want to live in that world. It's dumb. So let's not do that. Okay, that's the AI policy. Now, if you would like to use AI for some reason, maybe for your elevator pitch or something, you can ask me and I will give you permission if I think it's appropriate. But that's called prior permission. You check with me first and I say yes or no. All right. Other than that, everything in the syllabus that's left is like institutional information. So all this stuff is the same for all of your classes, every syllabus. Look over it once and you're good. We don't need to cover it. You know, help desks, support, laptops, maternity room, food pantry. You can look over all that stuff. Okay. Same for every class. You trying to worm out of my arms? Okay. So that's all under course information. Like I said, that's where your syllabus is. Introduce yourself. The next thing I need to cover is just course materials here. So course materials, that's where those modules are located. All those modules are here. And so you can see it's module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then exam. Module 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then exam. Okay. Inside of these modules, I'll use this one for example. Inside these modules, you're going to get hit with, actually, let me go into learner preview so it looks like it does for you here. This is what you'll see. You're going to get hit with an overview. That overview is going to have a little video, have a little description. It's going to have the learning outcomes for that module. It's going to have the assigned readings, which is going to be a link to the online textbook. And it's going to have that chapter quiz that you're going to need to do, or any other homework and assignments will be listed there in the overview. Then inside of the table of contents here, you notice there's 2 folders. There's an instructional materials folder and a quizzes and homework folder. The instructional materials are the things that I found that are useful, that are informative. You can take advantage of that. You don't need to do anything with it. They're just available to you. Quizzes and homework, on the other hand, those are your action items. I need you to do these things. Take this quiz, do this discussion prompt, whatever it may be. Okay, so those are the things you need to do. That's how pretty much they're all structured. And these are, because they're learning modules, this is paginated. So as you go through, notice I'm on page 7 of 9, 6 of 9. I can go through those arrows. Sometimes a website will open because that's what I'm linking to as a web link. Sometimes a file will download because that's what I want you to look at, like a PowerPoint file or something like that. So just be aware. That's pretty much how it works. The only other thing I think we should talk about is my grades. So if you're not sure about your grade in the class or what you need to do, go to your my grades. That's going to show you everything that's due. And it's going to show you the due dates. And it's going to show you if you did them or not, because you'll have a score. And I know I'm kind of blocking the score. Hey, don't bite my shirt. I think he's teething. If you don't have a score, it'll look like this. If you do, you'll see a number, or it'll be pending. Stop biting my shirt. Or it'll be pending and it's waiting on me. So just be aware of that. Everything's here. You can look through it all. Due dates are all scheduled in there. As far as the elevator pitch, we'll do a follow-up on that. But otherwise, you're good to go. So if you need anything from me, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can text me, call me, email me. Just let me know. I got office hours or whenever. Okay. All right. I'll set you down, Bobby. And I think that's got me covered. So I appreciate y'all. We will talk soon, and have a good rest of your week.